Well, now I'm realizing that my mic was muted. So what's up, y'all? Welcome to my channel. This is Epiphany Tanya. I'm just going to get this video started tonight because I was trying to give it some time and let anybody come in, but this is just going to be on the playback video. I know most people aren't used to me going live again anymore, so it might take a little minute to pick back up the views. So that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and record this video anyway. I wanted to do this video because I did a little short on this video talking about, actually, no, it wasn't a short. It was another live. I did a live before last week on like a message to biracial kids. And it was prompted because of this case with this kid, Giovanni Pellitier. And it's very, very sad. It's a very, very sad situation. I don't usually do these kind of videos talking about these topics because to me, it's just too sad. It's so sad that I hate to even have to review something like this. So anyway, they did a press conference, the Manatee County. I am not that far from Manatee County. I'm in a county called Pasco County. So you have Pasco County, there's Hillsborough County, and then there's Manatee County. So it's maybe about an hour drive, less than that possibly from me. And so I just wanted to kind of talk about this case. And I believe it's a cautionary tale. So we're going to look at the press conference. I'm not going to review all the details of the case because I feel like it's enough videos out there that I don't have to do that. I do want to check my sound really quick to make sure that I'm coming through on the broadcast. But I think that we're going to uncover some things in this press conference. I have some questions. So I know that a lot of people, if you see the comments of the press conference, if you go into the YouTube video and you see the comments, it's like everybody's satisfied with this investigation and they're like, oh, great work. And so I have some questions about their investigation that I'm wondering if anybody else that may run across my video may have these same questions too. So I have some questions about it. So I'm going to try to pull up my feed, and I may have to mute it so that it's not this, it's not a feedback loop. So let me just mute really quick because I just want to test the sound. I don't know if anybody wants to just drop me something in the chat saying you can hear if you're here, but I'm going to test the sound really quick. Okay, so looks and sounds good so far. So let's get started on this press conference. Like I said, this kid, 18 years old, I guess I am going to give a little brief summary background. This kid, 18 years old, I guess it's maybe been about a week ago now, they found him face down in a pond in Manatee County. Like I said, I'm about 2 counties away from Manatee County. This case is really, it's one of those tear jerkers. It's one of those things that just kind of grips you. I don't know why I'm drawn to this case. I've never really done these kind of videos. All of my videos on my channel, the things I talk about mostly are political, but I think there's a political element to this when we involve the political elements of law enforcement. And this particular county, I've had my experiences in this county. And let's just say, if you look like this, in certain counties in Florida, you probably don't want to have anything go down. But it's kind of interesting because the family looks like this and they're not pressing harder on, they're just kind of going with the story. So we're going to watch this press conference and I'm going to be jumping in, chiming in with my questions that I have and my commentary. And so let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and get this video started in a minute here. I'm trying to see which one would be better if I do a bigger If I do the larger side view screen. Yeah, I'm trying to see which one is better. All right, let's try this one out. So this is looks like a sheriff in the Manatee County who is giving this press conference update. Like I said, a lot of people seem to be very pleased with this investigation, and me, not so much. I'm a little skeptical about what's really going on here. So let's watch and read it.
I'm here to get an update on the Giovanni Pellitier case, death investigation. But before I get started, I do want to say that our prayers continue to go out to Bridget, the mother of Giovanni, and the entire family as they struggle during this very difficult time. And we pray that blessings are bestowed upon them, and we're here to hopefully give them some information that will give them closure at some point. Before I get to where
I just want to say, like, okay, that's all nice, well, and good that he's praying these blessings and he's praying these prayers. But I'm sorry, when you go back through this case and you see how this whole thing went down and how it was handled, I don't know. I don't know about this. And I also, when I first saw this and he said, oh, it's, that hopefully it gives some closure. I'm like, how will that be possible? How will they get closure when everything we know so far about this case? Like, this to me it's just such a tragic, horrific situation. But as we go through, I think you'll see what I'm saying as far as like, how is the family supposed to get closure based off of what he said so far? So let's keep going.
Where we're at in the investigation currently, I think it's important to go back and start from the beginning. So on Thursday, July 31st, there's communications between Giovanni and his cousin, Latrell Hearn, about Latrell picking up Giovanni, who's in Charlotte County, and taking him back to Brevard County where Latrell lives. They're trying to figure out the details. At 5:41 p.m., Latrell texts that he's going to have to use his grandmother's car, which is a white Malibu. At 8:30, they're still texting each other. They text about smoking weed. Giovanni says, I haven't had a smoke in a while because of court stuff going on in North Carolina. And he goes on to say, I definitely need a smoke. At 10:08 p.m., Latrell, Jalen Washington, and Zachary Cummings start heading toward Charlotte County. Zach Cummings is the driver of the white Malibu at the time. During interviews, Latrell tells detectives that not long into the drive, they start smoking weed in the car, and Giovanni starts tripping. They stop the car at an unknown location along River Road.
Okay, I have to stop this here. Please, somebody, for the love of all things, for the love of something, please, what does he mean by tripping? So this is what I'm talking about, the holes that are in this, right? So he keeps repeating this throughout this conference. Throughout this press conference, you will see he's going to say multiple times that this kid, person, whoever, told the detectives that Giovanni was tripping. What does that mean? Is what my question would have been if I'm interviewing this person. What does tripping mean, right? That's such a broad statement. Was he yelling? Was he screaming? Was he ripping off his clothes? Was he calling people names? Was he breaking things? What does he mean by tripping? So the fact that this police officer, sheriff person just keeps repeating that they told him this without any follow-up to what does that mean, right? I want to assume and hope, right? Because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, even though, like I said, I've been to this county. I used to work in this county, and look at my face. You don't want to go there. Anyway, especially if you look like this. You don't want to go to that county, right? In certain counties, I want to see. You have a mixture of a melting pot in Hillsborough, and Pasco's a little on the fence too, but it's certain places in Florida that it's a big question mark here. So anyway, but it just seems very shady that they're going to keep telling us that this kid was tripping, but nobody can tell us the details of what this tripping mean to them, right? We need more details on that. So that's one question I have. What does he mean by tripping? All right, let's keep going.
Road. Before the guy says that Giovanni is acting out and raging.
Okay, he's acting out and raging, right? So this Latrell, I think Latrell is the cousin. But now we find out from this press conference that the other two people in the car, so we know there were 3 people in the car that came to pick up this 18-year-old kid, and that only one of them is a relative. Only one of them is a relative. The other ones are friends. So this is not even really family. This is only one person that's related by blood. The rest are friends. But he has to go to the bathroom. He's acting out. He's belligerent. He's saying all these things. Isn't that a good chance and time now for you to call the family or call someone and say, hey, he's bugging out. What's going on? Something's happening. Something's not right. Isn't that a good time if you stop and pull over to go to the bathroom to call someone, to reach out for help? He's acting out. Again, here's another vague term that they use, that this sheriff and the police, that at least they're not telling us if they did follow up and ask any further follow-up questions about what does tripping mean. And now I want to know, what does acting out mean? When they say that this kid is acting out, what does that mean? So it's so many holes in the story. It's still, to me, not adding up of what really happened to this kid. And so we're going to go through this press conference, and they're going to have video and all these things. And for some people that don't use critical thinking, they're going to go along with this story that, okay, well, this is what happened. Oh, case solved, right? No, we're gonna uncover some things. We're gonna ask some questions about this. So let's keep going.
Getting back into the car, they continue driving north on I-75.
So I'm sorry, I keep jumping in. I have to, but like, why would you let him back in the car? He's acting out. He's tripping. Why would you get? Okay, he's at the bathroom now. This is the time. Let's pull over. Let's figure this out. Are we taking you back home? What are we doing? Right? Isn't that most rational, sane people's response? Someone's acting out, they're in your car, you're going to keep on driving, you're going to let them out of the car, let them go to the bathroom, but they're acting out and they're tripping, and you let them back in the car now to keep on proceeding as if nothing has happened. That sounds to me like, oh, I think I want to take you back home. We're not that far from your house at this point. Let's go back home, right? Because they said at some point in time it was like 30 minutes into the drive. Now they live 3 hours away. That's 30 minutes is less time than 3 hours, right? So let's turn back around. Let's take you back home. You're tripping right now, buddy. Why keep proceeding on like you're going to go on a trip? Okay, let's go. This is just, it's so many questions to this in my mind.
At this point, they're about 26 miles away south of State Road 70. At 1:55 a.m., Giovanni sends his mother a text saying help. At 1:56 a.m., he sends another message that says help, followed by me.
Okay, so here's another questionable, big giant question mark. If they've gotten the car, they're traveling on their trip, they give him the weed, he starts tripping, as they say. He's tripping. He is acting out, as they say in another point in time in this timeline that this sheriff person is giving. He stops, has to go to the bathroom, but at this time he's acting out, but they let him back in the car and they're driving along. But now somewhere after all of this, he's texting help. So what is happening in this vehicle, in this car? Because that has to be during the time, if you listen to this timeline, this is during the time that he gets back in the car and they're driving, continuing on to their destination. He's texting his mom help at this point. So what in the world is going on inside that car that makes this kid text help? What has happened? What is happening in this vehicle? Right? Okay. Let's keep going.
Jalen says Giovanni was tripping, telling them, I am a demon and I will wreck this car, and says he will kill them all as he tries to open up the door while the car is.
Okay, so supposedly he makes this statement or whatever, right? Has anybody seen this kid? Have you seen the pictures of this kid? Does it sound like this kid would talk like this? Like, to me, it sounds like a conversation coming from the people that are in the car. Like you see the pictures of those folk versus what this kid looks like. I know that it could be some stuff out there because they still haven't gotten the toxicology report back, which you'll learn about that later in the video. They still haven't gotten the toxicology report back to figure out what was in this kid's system. What did they really smoke? Was it really just weed? I mean, most people are not reacting like this off of marijuana. So was it laced with something? What else was in this marijuana that, if this story is true, that he was tripping, as they say, then what was in the marijuana? What was in the weed, right? But this conversation, this statement that they're claiming that this kid made, and I would love to hear from the family on this. Does that sound like him? Does that sound like something he would say? This sounds like, some of the content creators, the YouTube that cover, this certain element of the Black community. They call them Dusties, right? It just sounds like their language. It does not sound like this kid's language, but I don't know him that well. I don't know, but I would like to hear from the family and say, does that sound like a statement he would say? Right now, maybe whatever was in this marijuana could have produced something like that. But, they have this whole thing. They're running around here now saying they're on this certain time. And I don't like to use certain words and speak certain language, but let's just say it's the opposite of angels. They're on that time. That's what they say in the hood. This is some of their slang ghetto talk that they do. So this does not sound like a statement. So if you're concocting a story and you're going to say that this kid said this, right? You're probably going to make up something that he said that would be more something like what you would say versus if this kid actually said that. I'm just not buying any of this. But I see people are buying it hook, line, and sinker. This storyline, this narrative that they're putting out, I'm not. It's really smelling foul to me. It's really smelling really, really foul. So let's keep going. Again, I just don't believe that this kid made that statement that he's going to rip apart the car. You're in a car with 3 people. You're one. It's 3 against 1. And I don't care what kind of marijuana you had. Again, maybe it's laced with something else that we don't know about just yet because we're waiting for this toxicology report. And this guy talking about it could take up to 3 months. Maybe it's something in this weed that would produce this, but I don't see what it is that will cause him to make a statement like that, where he's like, okay, first of all, it's a lot that they're leaving out. What prompted this? All of a sudden, just because he had some weed, he's saying that he's going to rip apart the car. And he's going to, even the statement, I'm going to kill them all. Who says that? They didn't say, he's going to say, I'm going to kill you all. That would have been the statement. I'm going to kill them all, right? I'm going to kill them all. Like, I don't know. We're getting this third-hand knowledge from this sheriff. So who knows what the actual statement was, but this just doesn't seem right to me. This is off. This whole thing is a hot mess. So yeah, let's keep going.
Still moving. This happens while they're in Manatee County, close to State Road 70. Zachary, the driver, pulls the car over onto the side of the road on the shoulder, the northbound I-75 on the east shoulder of State Road 70. Jalen and Zach are in the front seats, and they hear that Giovanni has a knife. And we know that he always carried a knife. He had 2 knives. He had a folding pocket knife, and he had a blade, but this knife was still in the sheath, never took it out. They said that.
I wonder how Did that really go down when they're saying that he has the knife? Did he pull out the knife? Were they searching his pockets? Because it sounds like something that some of these thugs would do, searching his pockets because they're trying to rob him, and they find the knife on him. And now it's like, oh, he has a knife on him, right? Did he really pull the knife out on them? Again, you're 3 against 1. Do you really think you're going to be able to knife everybody in the car? Like that just, again, maybe the marijuana is laced with something and you really have lost your mind, because that's what would have to have happened for it to make sense. Because who's tripping like this off of marijuana? Nobody is doing this off of marijuana. If anything, people chill out, they go to sleep, they get really tired, sluggish, their eyes get small. Nobody is having a psychotic break off of a few puffs, because you didn't go that far that you had so much marijuana. How many blunts did you smoke in a half an hour's time? You only got about half an hour down the road. So how many blunts were smoked in that time? How much weed was smoked in that time that you're going to say somebody had a psychotic break off of some weed? I think it would take more than half an hour's worth of puffs, which who knows how much he had. It's 4 of them all together in the car. So more than likely they're all sharing something. So what is he smoking that now has him tripping and flipping out, other than it's laced with something that these guys are used to smoking and that he's never really had before? So none of it's adding up. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't buy it. I don't believe it, but this is what they're trying to sell us. So let's keep listening.
Giovanni gets out of the car and begins running southbound in the southbound lanes of I-75. They see him in the middle of the northbound lanes and almost get hit by a truck. This is the last time they see him.
Okay. So again, I'm going to say that either you got something that's laced in the marijuana that you're running out into the street, or is somebody threatening your life and chasing you? And so you run out in the street trying to get away from them. Which one is it? That is a question. What makes this kid run out to the street? They have the video, some grainy, blurry video. You kind of almost see somebody in the middle of the road. But if this is the case, what really is the reason why this kid is in the street? Is somebody after him? Is somebody threatening him? Or is he just now flipped out, psychotic break on some marijuana? Make it make sense. Somebody for me.
He left behind his backpack and cell phone. So they took that and placed it onto the side of State Road or I-75 at State Road 70 at the entrance ramp on the east side.
So instead of you, I don't know, you see him almost, so supposedly they're the ones giving this report that he ran out to almost got hit. You see him almost get hit. That means, quote unquote, he's tripping. So something's wrong, that he could be out here running into traffic and that he could get hit. And your response is to take his stuff and put it out on the side of the road and drive off and keep on going. That's your response to that. Not, let me call 911. Let me call somebody to come see about him. Something's going on. He's tripping, right? Why wouldn't you call anybody? Now, they're going to talk later about them trying to call the mother, or the one cousin calling the mother later and all this stuff. But for immediate assistance happening right then and there, why wouldn't you call 911 to come help this kid? Make it make sense for me, somebody.
At 2:26 a.m., Latrell calls his grandfather to let the grandfather know that Giovanni got out of the car. At 2:27, Latrell calls Bridget, Giovanni's mother, but there's no answer. We know they continue northbound on I-75. We have them stopping at the Flying J truck stop in Hillsborough County off of I-4, and you can tell by their phones that they eventually make it home to Brevard County. At approximately 6:50 a.m., Latrell calls Bridget again.
So at 2 something in the morning, you call his mother and it's no answer. Again, next step, 911. Help, my cousin is tripping, as you love to keep repeating this story. He's tripping. please come pick him up on the side of the road. Wouldn't that be the logical, make sense thing to do? Wouldn't that be the thing you do for a family member? Maybe for a total stranger, you don't do that. Maybe you just, okay, a hitchhiker, you just leave him on the side of the road. I'm gonna leave you where I found you. But your family member, you're only gonna just call the mother. You picked them up from the stepdad's house. Why not call the stepdad? Okay, I can't reach his mom. Let me call the person where I picked them up, not from his house, but from wherever the stepdad was. And supposedly the stepdad was with him when the cousins came to pick him up. So why not reach out to this guy? Why not reach out to any other family member? 2 a.m., that means you go home and you go to sleep pretty much before anybody reaches out to somebody again. Because all these hours, well, let me see, 3, okay, maybe it was the trip, but I don't even know, like, okay, 2 something, 3 something, you're almost an hour away from home. If it is a 3-hour drive, it still seems like it's a lag in time there from the time that they finally get home to when they call the mother. That's like a gap of an hour's time. This may have been a time when they're getting their story straight for all we know. How do we know what's really going on here? So anyway, let's keep going.
She answers, and he gives her the information on what transpired that night. At 7:13, Bridget calls the Magic County Sheriff's Office to look for Giovanni on I-75. She says, from the 911 call that we collected, I received some missed calls from my son this morning. He was being picked up by a relative, and I was told that they left him on the side of the highway, that there was some type of an altercation and a knife was involved. She asked if a deputy could do a wellness check and make sure that he's okay.
Just that alone, it's like, I don't know what the charges could be, but something has to, like, take, for instance, in my profession, I'm considered a mandated reporter, right? Now, this kid, he's 18, rather, not over 18, but he's not a minor. But when it comes to being a mandated reporter, I think maybe they should extend the laws, or they expand the laws to where as though someone's under the influence, right? Because we do it for if someone is a child, a vulnerable person, a child, an elderly person, someone with disabilities. These are the people that we're mandated to make a report on if we suspect some type of abuse or neglect or something of that nature. Well, why not put that for somebody who's under the influence, someone who's in a psychotic state, right? It should be something else that it gets expanded, because you can't tell me that you just get to drive off, leave him on the side of the road, and it's no charges. I mean, I don't know what the charge could be. I'm not saying that they should have, if they didn't actually have a hand in his passing, something, neglect. I don't know, whatever charge could be there, manslaughter, whatever charge could be there. There needs to be something, and you're going to see, because the reporters asked him, are there any charges against anyone? No, it's no charges there, but you just left somebody on the side of the road that now we find in a retention pond. You never made the call to the proper authorities to try to see about this person before this happened, before, like, maybe they could have got to him before he runs headlong, if that's what really happened, if he did run headlong into the pond. So anyway, let's keep going.
The dispatcher responds, you mentioned a possible altercation, but can you tell me again exactly what happened? She states, so I'm getting this from people who were there. He said they were in the car, and I guess they had given my son some weed, and my son doesn't normally do any drugs. I guess they had given him some weed, and then he started to freak out and said he wanted to get out of the car. And they were like, hey, just calm down, thinking maybe it was the drugs he was taking. They kept saying, calm down and everything will be okay. And then I guess he got out of the car. Now,
nobody notices this is a different story that they gave the mom than what they're telling the police. They never said we gave him some drugs, he wanted to get out the car, we told him to calm down. No, they said that he was tripping and that he was acting out, and they gave this statement about this demonic stuff or whatever, and that he was going to rip the car apart. But why didn't they say any of that to the mom? That's a change in story. While they're trying to say, oh, the story has not changed. Yes, it did change. It's one story that they told the mom. It's a different story that they're telling the sheriffs. So somebody make that make sense to me.
Hard to go to the bathroom, and that's when I received the text saying, "Mom, help," in that time frame, she said. And then he said that he continued to freak out and didn't know what was going on. They left him behind on I-75. Bridget is heading northbound on I-75 to try to locate her son. A deputy responds to that area, but finds no pedestrian on the interstate. At 7:21, a truck driver who was checking the load on his truck, it's a sod truck, pulls off in that same area on the east side of I-75, northbound, sees the backpack, picks it up. He travels to Tampa with the backpack. Bridget sees that the phone is moving, but does not know that it's a truck driver that actually has the bag and has the phone. She eventually calls Tampa PD, and an officer responds to the area where the truck driver was doing some work, recovers the cell phone and the bag. This is about 9:21 when TPD recovers the phone and the bag. At 9:28, Charlotte County Sheriff's Office opened a missing person case. And we also learned that Charlotte County reached out to Brevard County Sheriff's Office, and they were instrumental in interviewing all the passengers in the vehicle and as this investigation unfolded. They voluntarily give Brevard County the vehicle, the white Malibu that they were in. Brevard County processes the vehicle and...
See, I feel like police and law enforcement put so much stock. Now, I can get it. I'm in a professional career as well, where when I deal with clients all day, and when clients are cooperative, it really means a lot. And it's really helpful if they cooperate with the process of whatever you're trying to do as your job. You really can have an appreciation for cooperative clients. But I feel like they're putting so much stock in the fact that these people cooperated and they gave the car, like, oh, okay, if they had done something wrong, they probably would have tried to hide the car or withhold the car. Well, if they know they didn't do anything to the kid inside the car, then why would they have any problem with that? If they know what really happened and they know that they didn't, there was no foul play that happened inside the car, then okay, sure, no problem. Here's the car. But I feel like when he's making this statement about they willingly gave up the car, they're putting so much stock in the fact that they gave them this car to process, as if that shows their innocence. When easily, if they did not do anything to the kid in the car, if they just, let's say they just intimidated him, let's say they were trying to rob him, and in the process of them trying to rob him, that he ran out on the street and that he ran off, and they saw that he didn't really have anything for them to rob, so they like, okay, well, whatever happens, we're just going to put his stuff on the side of the road. All types of scenarios that could have happened, but they're highlighting this thing of they cooperated. Oh, the story actually changed, unlike what this man is saying. He's saying that, oh, their story never changed. Yes, it did. They gave a different story to the mom than they did the cops. So anyway, it's very, very fishy. It's very, very suspect still, even with this press conference that people are buying hook, line, and sinker to think that it means that the case is solved. It is not.
There's no foul play, no blood, nothing, no evidence whatsoever inside that vehicle. Charlotte County reaches out to us once again to check to see if Giovanni had been admitted to any hospitals or possibly was arrested.
Because nobody has to stab, shoot, or beat him in order for them to still be responsible for what happened to him. Let's say if they're intimidating him, punking him, robbing him, and he runs off to get away from them. Let's say if they're threatening him, right? The way that they claim that he threatened them. Let's say if they were the ones doing the threatening and he runs off and this happens to him. It doesn't have to be any evidence in the car of that. It would just be him running off to get away from these lunatics and these psychopaths. So it's so many different scenarios that could be at play. And I don't think they were really pressed to find out what really happened to this kid.
And there was no sign of Giovanni in our system. On Monday, August 4th, Charlotte County requests the assistance of the Macon County Sheriff's Office as they search the area that the trail says they dropped off Giovanni on I-75. They do an extensive search east of the interstate in wooded areas on both sides of State Road 70 and find nothing. On Tuesday, August 5th, Charlotte County comes back to Manatee County, along with a volunteer team that have cadaver dogs. Also, the Charlotte County Aviation Unit was flying overhead. We had 3 of our detectives assisting them with searching the areas.
They're doing all this and they still don't find this kid. It's not until the kid's family, mother's best friend, is the one that's not even in law enforcement in any kind of way, that's from another state. She's in North Carolina. They need to, she or he, whoever it was, they need to hire this person for their investigative team, because this person did a better job at finding this kid than all of this that he's laying out saying that they did and still couldn't find this kid. Somebody from another state that's not even in law enforcement came in and found this kid. So you make that make sense. They need to go hire this person, whoever they are. They need to offer them a job.
That they wanted to search that day. After about 4.5 hours, they told our detectives that they're not really sure that Giovanni is in this area. Now, why is that important? We know that he got out of the car on River Road before he got onto I-75. So as investigators, they're starting to think maybe he never made it to State Road 70. Now, I can't speak for the Charlotte County detectives. I can't speak for Sheriff Promell, but they know the backpack was there. But there's no sighting of Giovanni in that area at this time. So Charlotte County is still searching, and they're searching hard in the area of River Road and I-75. But we know that that's not where he was at. On Friday, August 8th, at about 3:15 p.m., Manatee County Sheriff's Office receives a call about a body located in a pond right off of I-75 at the exit ramp to State Road 70. We learned that a friend of the family had been searching the area and had located the body. I sent my entire homicide team out there along with their sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and major to process the scene.
You heard that? The friend of the family located this kid. Not the sheriffs, not the detectives, not the search teams, not any of those people. Friend of the family found this kid, even though they put in all this manpower and did all this stuff, and they still couldn't find it. It was like something right in plain sight. You still couldn't see it, but it's right there in plain sight. The kid was right there in plain sight, but you couldn't find him.
The medical examiner investigator also responds to help with the processing of the body. We do a deep x-ray, a scan of the body. The ME does that night. There's no signs of any trauma to the body. There's no indication that he was shot. There's no indication that he was stabbed. There's nothing at that time that helps us determine cause of death. On Saturday, August 9th, detectives and crime scene techs go back out to the scene. They conduct another thorough investigation of the area, search of the area. Our drone unit also flew over the pond and the surrounding area, but didn't find anything of any value. On Sunday, the District 12 medical examiner performed an autopsy of the body. Preliminary indication was no signs of trauma or foul play, but the cause of death is still undetermined. On August 11th, my dive team goes back out to the pond to search it once again to make sure that we did not miss anything in the initial searches. They find nothing. We're trying to pinpoint exactly where Giovanni got out of the car. That's our main focus. My detectives reach out.
His main focus is to figure out where he got out the car. I don't know if he meant to say our main focus at that time, because your main focus at this point should not be where he got out the car. But I think he may have just misspoken that. I'm trying to give the man the benefit of the doubt, this whole county, because I am not a fan of Manatee County at all. And maybe I'm giving the whole county a blanket because of things that happened to me, racist things that happened to me in that county when I used to work in that county, and I had a racist supervisor that made comments about my skin color, and another employee who made comments about how she was going to send a certain thing after me that I had to respond, I shall live and not die, because I don't want to say what she said, but certain racist comments that came my way when I worked down there in Manatee County. I don't trust that county. And when I've driven through that county and you see that people that look like me, they're really busted and disgusted and broke, and like you can just see a great huge disparity in the population in the class there. Now, it could be many reasons for that, and I'm not one to always throw around a race card or anything like that, but that county does not sit well with me based on my own experiences. So I just don't trust it. I don't know why they're not invested in seeing and figuring this out, what really happened to this kid. They did some stuff, don't get me wrong, with them. I like the fact that and we didn't get to this part yet, where they actually go to the video and they pulled up the surveillance cameras and different things like that. Like, that was one thing in their favor that they did do, that they did some investigation there. But it's so many unanswered questions with this group that was in this car. And it just seems like they're just taking their word for it because it's three of them and they got their stories straight together. Like I said, it's a lag of time, unexplained time, of when they would have arrived back to where they lived and when they actually called the mom. That could have been the time when they was getting their story straight. Who knows? I don't know, but let's keep going.
Out to Brevard County, who helped us reach out to Giovanni's cousin, Jalen, Latrell, and Zach. And we request that they interview again with us. They do so freely. We respond to Brevard County and we interview the three. They give us the exact same story that they gave Brevard County.
Okay, so he's all caught up in the fact that they give the police the same story of both counties, but they gave the mom a different story than what they gave the police in these two counties. What about that? What about the discrepancy of the story from what they told the mom to what they tell the police? Nobody's asking these questions. Am I the only one on the internet asking these questions?
They also agreed to come back to Manatee County to help us pinpoint exactly where they pulled off the side of the road and where Giovanni got out of the car. So that brings us to today.
Again, they're a little invested in showing you everything and telling you everything you want to hear, because they know if they have done something wrong, they don't want to go to jail for the rest of their life. So yeah, okay, I'll cooperate. Yeah, some of the most heinous people, when we look back over time over these cases, have been very cooperative. We come to find out later that they were the killers. Plenty of people. What was the guy? What was his name? Peterson or somebody that took out his wife. What is all these people that they like participated in the investigation, and they were the first ones. They're always the first ones to jump up on the news channel and give interviews to the news media. And then we find out later that they were heavily involved. So just because they cooperated, I don't know why he's putting so much stock into the fact of them cooperating. Like, he's making it sound like they're innocent because they cooperated. Like, sometimes the killers do that. I'm not saying, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know if they did this to this kid or not, what hand they had in it. Only God knows. And I pray that the truth fully comes out for real. And that, especially when this toxicology report comes back, I hope and pray that the truth is revealed. So anyway.
We started reviewing all of the FDOT cameras in the area. This is complicated at times because these cameras, they will move at certain parts of the day. They're not always focused on one particular area. So we started to do our best to locate any movement whatsoever that would give us an indication that Giovanni was alive at that time. And we found Giovanni at about 2:18 a.m. on the night in question on I-75. And we want to show that video now. It's difficult to see at first, so bear with us.
Yeah, we were struggling to figure out what was on this screen, because what he does end up showing, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be quiet and let you guys see it for yourself. But
yeah. This is the 44th Avenue camera, located about 1.2 miles north of State Road 70. Right here, it's hard to tell. You can see some movement over here on these are the southbound lanes. He's coming across right here. You see a truck having to get out of the way. He'll clear up a little bit here in a second. He has on a white shirt. You can see him coming across. Here's the truck trying to avoid hitting him. You can point him out right here. He's coming eastbound. Now he's walking back westbound. And there's a concrete barrier right here. And down here is where the pond is. So then we continue to check cameras, and we get lucky at a Lowe's, which is located on the west side of State Road 70. We have a camera that's pointing at the embankment now that he comes down at 2:19 a.m. Play that, Ben. I want you to stay focused right here. Now that's a steep embankment. He's coming down there almost like an uncontrollable sprint. If you ever gone down a hill, you know what I'm talking about. But the pond is right here at the edge of that embankment. I mean, the important thing that I want you to see, there's no one chasing him. There's no one around him. In fact, when he's coming down that embankment, the vehicle.
Again, this is another part I took issue with, that he's saying it's nobody chasing him. It's nobody around him. How do we know what's off camera? How do we know what happened a few minutes before he comes barreling down this hill? How do we know that? How do we know that it's not anybody in the background that's right off the camera edge that we don't see? How do we know? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. But nonetheless, regardless of whatever happened here, and they'll go on. I don't even know that I'm going to finish review of this press conference, because it really kind of just got my blood pressure going of just how they're trying to wrap this up in a nice little bow. And to me, it's still so many questions that are unanswered. It's so many things that just don't make any sense. It's so much still suspicion to the so-called cousin, because it wasn't cousins. Now we learned it was just one cousin out of the three, and that one of them have a rap sheet that's as long as your arm. But they're not talking about that either. And so they're just stuck on the fact that they were cooperative and all these various things. But I don't really think I'm buying this story. I just feel like it's more to it than that. And that if nothing else, they did the bare minimum to try to make sure that this kid got back home to where he was from. And there should be some kind of consequences for that. I don't know what they could charge them with, but I just don't think it's right that you get to leave somebody on the side of the road that you picked up. You brought them out there. They're from another state, and you just leave them there. And something like this happens to them, and you get to walk away scot-free. And again, I don't know. I'm not saying that they should go away for the rest of their lives or anything like that, but it should be something. It should be something here. It should be some justice for this kid's family. The story doesn't really fully add up to me of what really happened, but a lot of people are buying this online. They think that, oh, this solves it. This is in the story. That's it. They got the video cameras. They got the kid on camera running down the hill. And so I'm not even going to finish reviewing this. You can go watch this for yourself, the press conference, and hear the reporters ask them the questions. And I feel like it was so many questions left that the reporters didn't even ask that they should have asked them about, like, how do we know if it's not anybody off to the side of the road? How do we know if, this, that, and the third, right? So lots of unanswered things, in my opinion, but that's just me. But tell me what you think. Drop it down in the chat or in the comment section of your thoughts on this case of this Giovanni Pellitier story. I did a live a few days back, or I don't know if it was last week, about this, where I was saying biracial kids, know who you are. This was all because he wanted to connect with his Black side. And so I talked a lot about the Black culture, that segment of the Black culture that's very highly into criminality and gangs and just low life living and just a negative mindset, and just wants nothing good or positive, just wants to smoke weed, get high all day. And this is just how they live in their life. Just don't care. And just leave somebody on the side of the road at worst, because if they didn't have a hand in doing something to him, at best, you left him on the side of the road, your own family member, your own blood and kin. Instead of calling somebody, you could have called 911. You could have done more than try to call his mother. If she didn't pick up the phone, you could have reached out to other family members. You should have called somebody vigorously. It's so many more things I feel like they could have done that they did not do. Just leave him on the side of the road, put his bag out on the side of the road. What really happened in that car? What really happened that night? I just feel sorry for the family. God be with them in their time of grief and help them. And I pray that the truth truly does come out. I'm looking forward to when this toxicology report comes out. I look forward to hearing what the results of that is, because this is a messed up situation. Like, who does that? Who takes picks up the family member and leaves them on the side of the road like that. Who does that? Again, I feel like it should be some kind of charges. They're saying there's no charges being brought against these people. Something should give. And if it's not a law out there against this, it should be. It should be something where you have to take more action. Again, as a mandated reporter myself, I have certain laws I have to follow, that if I see certain individuals in danger, that I got to make a report. But these people can just go ahead and leave somebody on the side of the road and they don't have to have any consequences. But me as a professional, if I were to leave a child unprotected, or elderly person, or someone with disabilities, if I don't take certain actions, I don't make certain reports, then I could come up on charges. But you telling me that these people in this car can just drop this kid off on the side of the road and something like this happened to him, and they don't come up on no charges? Nothing happens to them? I'm telling you, it's something fishy in the water, and it's not right. It's something that's just not sitting well. And I think it's a lot of unanswered questions still, even with them doing their little investigation that they did, which they're trying to save face, if you ask me, to try to, they're just trying to cover their own booties. And I don't agree. I just, like, again, it's so many questions. Like, why was it a different story they told to the mother than they told to the cops? So he's like, oh, they told us the same story that they told the other county. Yes, they had time to get the story together, and that lag of time from the time they would have arrived home to where they live and when they actually called the mother again in the morning. There's like an hour gap of time there. That's a lot of time to get your story straight of whatever you're going to say, right? It's a lot of questions here, and everybody in that car is suspect, if you ask me. And so they're like, oh, well, we see him on this video and there's nobody around. Nobody's chasing him. Okay. Are they off to the side? What happened in the car? What made it so this kid got out the car in the first place? Was it really of his own volition that he got out this car? Was it really of his own volition that he went into the road? Maybe it's questions we'll never know. But it's a very sad, sad story. Very, very sad situation. I pray he rests in peace, and I pray that his family gets the justice that they deserve. So that's it for me. Like I said, if you have any commentary on this video, on this situation, drop it down in the comment section. Watch the video on the playback, and tell me what you think of these types of coverage reaction videos. Again, I'm just testing out some different things for my channel. I know I typically cover politics, but this case kind of, I am into true crime, and this case really kind of gripped a lot of people. And so I wanted to do a little reaction on this press conference in this case and what's going on with it. So tell me what you think. Till next time. And I might come back. I'll probably be back with another reaction video. Until next time, this is Epiphany Tanya. Thanks for watching. Peace.